This video is an introduction to systems thinking. I will talk about some basic concepts. So what is a system? The system is not something in the real world. It is a mental model in the head, because in the real world everything is connected with everything, and there is no just one part or a group of things together independent of the whole world. So in the real world there is no system. It's a mental model that we use to focus on a group of elements, how they work together and what they produce, and we arbitrarily do this. So we choose this and this and these elements, and then we say that this is a system, and other elements are not part of the system, but of course those elements also can influence this. So let's say in medical terms they use the cardiovascular system, the heart and the blood vessels. But it is totally arbitrary, because the lung is very closely connected to this cardiovascular system, and including all the endocrine system, the muscles and the skeleton systems. So systems are arbitrary collections of elements, and we study them together, how they work together, and it depends on our definition. So the elements of the systems are also systems. So when we look at a person, it has a lot of subsystems if we accept the medical terms: endocrine system, skeletal system, muscular, and so on. And they are systems also, and each of these subsystem has subsystem and subsystem. So everything has parts, and everything is part of a bigger one. And this concept is use the term holon, whole, part, that every system is part of many other systems. So when we talk about a person is an element in a family. A person is an employee at a company, okay, and so on. A society, a country, a football team, and we have many subsystems. So this is holon. The next element, the next concept is emergent. Emergent is a property of a system, that the system elements interacting with each other and they create this one, but it doesn't exist in any part. Okay, so it's not a property or a function of this part, not a property or function of this part, but when they are interacting together, they create something that exists. Of course, it is also possible that something is part of this one, and also part of the systems, but systems have this special property, emergent. So it's an emergent property that exists only when elements in the system interact with each other, and when they don't interact with each other, they don't exist anymore. So when, let's say, atoms form a special bond, they create a molecules. But in other circumstances, when they don't interact with each other, they don't create that molecule. So that molecule exists only because the atoms, that part of the molecule, form a certain bonds under certain conditions. And molecules can be combined together and form something, a higher level holon, a higher level system with new emergent properties that you cannot find in the individual atoms. And let's say they go and higher level, they form cells, tissues, cells come together for tissues come together for organs for a whole body. Human beings form different social groups, and they create a lot of things. So as you can see, there are these interrelated elements, and it's not really just elements, it's more about viewing, like this perspective of looking everything as a holon, that everything is itself, you can look at this as a whole, which part of a larger whole, and has smaller parts, smaller subsystems that cooperate together to make it exist. So this is a perspective, it is a view of the world. So you can think about this, that systems don't exist in the real world because everything is connected, but it is a way of looking at the world. It is a way of thinking. And another element of this one, that there is no cause effect. It is a simplified creation of the mind. There is not this kind of thing that A creates B. And most people in this world live their lives at this level. So they believe that, for example, so we can look at a company and then look at the sales manager's performance, and that a cause-effect thinking would say that the sales performance this year dropped because of the sales manager's job. He didn't do a great job, or she, and that's why it's dropped. There is one cause, one effect. Or we can also say that, okay, the marketing department, so from the sales manager's job, the problem is the marketing department because they didn't come up with a great marketing plan. Or, so that is the cause, that is the cause in their thinking, cause, effect. Or maybe the R&D department didn't create a new product, so there was nothing to sell and nothing new that the customers want. So that is cause, effect thinking. System thinking comes that there is no cause effect, not one cause effect, but everything interact with each other. There are feedback loops, and there are time lagging things, that A cause B, B cause C, C cause D, and it comes back, but it's many. So you can think about that. So what caused the sales drop? You can say that the company is let's look at the company as a system. So the company created this sales. How the person was motivated, the incentive system, why did they hire these people, what is the marketing department's contribution, did they get a new product or not. So the whole company created this sales, not the marketing department, not the sales department, not the R&D, the whole system. And if you just look at one element, yes, the marketing was not great, that is a contributing factor. Yes, the research and development was not great, that is another contributing. Yes, the top management was not great. Yes, the human resource department didn't send the person for education, and that cause. So there are infinite number of things, and then look at this, that we arbitrarily choose the company, because we can say that the whole economy of that country, or actually the whole world, created this one, because let's say the whole economy, let's say the tax system, the whole education system that doesn't create competitive managers compared to other countries. Okay, so if you look at this and the competition and the globalization, if you look at this, finally you can come up that actually the sales drop because of the whole world. And of course different factors have different contribution, but there is no one cause-effect relationship in this case. Hello. And then hi. So forget this cause-effect relationship. The whole systems create everything, and the system that you are thinking, it is your arbitrary definition, because in that example you can say that, look at for just the sales manager or the sales department or the marketing and sales, that is one system, or the company or the industry, because there are competitors, or including the customers. The customer didn't buy, they changed their taste, and or the customers didn't have money, okay, because the whole economy is bad. So systems thinking is in the head, okay, and it has different great perspectives, like thinking in holons, using emergent property, saying that cause effect doesn't really work, but everything is connected with everything, and not just at this moment, but go back in history, in thousands of years, that things caused the human civilization to develop and create companies, to create these structures, and then the law of the country to how to hire the people. So everything creates everything, and if you have this view of the world that we have this interconnection and everything exists, this is also about the emergent, that it's not just it emerge, but it also disappears. When things interact with each other, let's say the company creates profit. So the profit of the company is an emergent property of a lot of factors, interaction inside the company and also outside, the law, the competitors, the customers, everything interacting. But it's not just an emerge, because when the components don't interact anymore, let's say some people start to quit from the company and they cannot hire new people, and they force the people to work overload, and more people will quit, the profitability drops. So when there are no elements and the elements don't cooperate, then what existed before will disappear and the system comes down to a lower level. So if you look at our whole life, we, as an evolution, we create higher and higher level in the hierarchy. This is also an element of the system thinking, that we base of higher and higher level emergence, but sometimes when one layer exists, does stop existing, then all the top layers that based on this lower level holon will collapse, and the system collapse back to a lower function. Just imagine how many things in our lives based on electricity, and let's say electricity production stops, then all the things, mobile phone, mobile networks, everything will cease to exist, because something at lower level don't create a functionality that make it possible at higher level system creation. So this hierarchy based on higher and higher level through history, so everything become more and more based on lower. So everything that you look at, there are more and more layers, and there is a vulnerability of the systems if some lower level things disappear. For example, the people who worry about the climate change, they think that the physical environment will be impossible, and then that low level layer will disappear and life will stop existing in the world.